The ABB FIA Formula E World Championship returns for its 11th season here in Jakarta after a quick one-year absence. And for this 11th season, Formula E is unveiling its newest generation of electric race car, the Gen 3 Evo, which is said to be the world's fastest car. And now to talk more about the race cars, these electric beasts that they'll be riding in, the upcoming race, as well as what it feels like, really feels like, to drive in the world's hottest circuit. We are joined today by two amazing guests, drivers from the Andretti Formula E Racing team, Jake Dennis and Nico Mueller. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Right, so first things first, guys. So 11 rounds into the season. How's it feeling so far?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it? Like, we've had some good performances, we've had some bad performances, so generally a bit mixed. I was lucky enough to get a podium in Monaco, which was nice, and then we've had a few fourth place finishes, but yeah, we haven't quite stood on the top step of the podium at the moment. But yeah, we're working at it. Yeah, we just need to try and work on a few things, improve our package slightly, and hopefully this weekend is the first time we can get on top.
Nico, what about you?
Yeah, very similar. I think we had some very good race performances. I personally, struggled a few times in qualifying, and when you're then having to, roll up the field from the back, you make your life difficult, obviously. But yeah, some good events, some more tricky ones. But I guess that's what Formula E is about, right? You make the difference by finding the consistency to be at the front end, most weekends, which we haven't quite managed. So yeah, still, working hard at it. We have 5 races left, so still a lot to play for.
5 races left. It's going to be like some really exciting races up ahead. But of course, Jakarta's absent from last season's Formula E World Championship, and now it's back like it never left. Like, how do you guys feel coming back to this beautiful, sweltering hot city?
I mean, yeah, it's obviously great to be back. I've had really good success here over the past 2 years. We raced here in season 9 and season 8. I've always gone quite well here, so I'm hoping to sort of just replicate that again. We started on the front row both races, and then finished second twice. So yeah, really looking for something quite similar. I'm confident that we can do so, but yeah, it's just going to be very mixed weather, it seems, from the weather forecast right now. We don't really know what we're going to get. It looks like if it does rain, it's going to be a lot. But yeah, generally excited to get back, see the fans, and yeah, maybe have a very hot race as well.
And Nico, what about your expectations?
Yeah, we're getting ready to sweat. I think normally it is very hot here. I've been here in season 9 as well, and it was one of the toughest races we had in the calendar for sure, due to the heat. So yeah, we'll see. Or we get very wet from water coming from the top, or we sweat a lot. So we're ready for either.
It's a bit of a coin flip. You can either get really hot or it just pouring rain, right?
Exactly.
Right. So for Jake, you mentioned that Jakarta is one of your favorite circuits to race in, and of course the results speak for itself. You finished with a podium finish in the last 2 races that were held here.
Yeah.
Like, what really is separating this circuit from the rest? What sets it apart, and what allows you to have that much success?
Ultimately, you need a good car. You need a good race car to perform well here, and luckily I've had that each time I've been here. So yeah, you just need good confidence, really. And then I think Jakarta has a good blend of like a full-time circuit, but also like that street circuit feel as well. We obviously have all the barriers here, like it's a street circuit, but it's much more open, much faster, a longer lap than usual. So yeah, it's just got that nice blend between the two, and I think that's what gives the driver a bit more satisfaction, a bit more enjoyment when you get it right and perform well with it.
And Nico, you mentioned earlier, Jakarta, one of the hardest tracks to race in. Like, we hear that a lot about the heat and the humidity, but what exactly does it take for a driver to prepare to be in such a circuit?
I mean, we anyway, try to be physically on top for any kind of challenge that comes up. So there's not really much specific, training going into this one. We try to be as fit as we can anyways. What we really focus on is the preparation together with the engineers, to make sure that we're ready for the challenges that are, awaited, especially for the tires and also from the energy management side of things. Depending on how hot it gets on race day, battery temperature can be a topic as well. So I think these are the standout factors that we try and prepare for coming to Jakarta. I think that the nature of the track makes overtaking relatively difficult with the energy we have available for the race. So that's something else, we have on top of our head when we prepare. You have one long straight where you can definitely pass, but from basically turn 1 back up to turn 17, 18, it's relatively hard to overtake. So qualifying will be important, and that's what we expect going into race day.
And talking about, you mentioned about the batteries and the possibility of it might be overheating and such. It takes me back to talking about the cars themselves. Now, of course, there's a new generation of cars now for this 11th season, the Gen 3 Evo. And I spoke with the Formula E co-founder yesterday, Alberto, and he boasts a lot about how this is a real beast and how this is the fastest car in the world. Now, can you guys tell me whether 11 rounds in, is that just marketing jargon, or do you actually feel like it's a much faster car? Is there any big of a difference right now?
No, you definitely feel the difference on four-wheel drive. I think that's really the biggest game changer this season. To have four-wheel drive for 8 minutes of the race from attack mode, and also four-wheel drive off the line, full 350 kilowatt. You feel that improvement in acceleration. To be honest, it feels quicker than what the lap time really gives you. You're looking at maybe like a 1.5 second time improvement. But for the driver, it generally feels like you're going maybe 3 seconds quicker. It's just a nice transition going from rear-wheel drive to four-wheel drive. You have to drive it in a completely different way. And you really have to trust that the system will support you on the traction phase. And it's a nice step forward. Obviously, drivers being drivers, we're always looking for more. We always want more grip, more power. But it's been a good step forward for the Gen 3 Evo.
And Nico, you've been racing Formula E, of course, since season 6, if I'm not mistaken. Has there been that big of a difference each consequent season leading up to this newest generation in terms of the power and the speed that you feel as a driver? Yeah,
definitely. I think the evolution has been pretty impressive, from the first car and then to Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 3 Evo. The steps have been pretty impressive. But I think we kind of didn't expect to be the step from Gen 3 to the Gen 3 Evo so big in terms of, how quick these cars feel thanks to the four-wheel drive. The performance, on pure acceleration is impressive, and that's what really stands out. I think it also, is that combination between the torque that these electric motors have and the four-wheel drive that finally allows you to actually put it down to the ground, because that's always the challenge. These cars, I think, are the most difficult to drive out there. It really makes our job pretty difficult, but when you get it right, it's even more enjoyable then.
Right. Hearing everything, it sounds like it's going to be such an exciting race with these new cars and, of course, the drivers in these cars. But thankfully, that's all the time that we have today. We thank you so much for coming in here and talking about the race, talking about the cars. And for those motorsports fans out there who are itching to get a quick, closer look at the action of Formula E, be sure to catch the 2025 Sarina Jakarta E-Prix at the Jakarta International E-Prix Circuit here in Ancol later this Saturday. This has been Aris Darta, Nico Arianto, and Reza Anindita for See Today.